Shireen Siddiqui's son was convicted of conspiracy in trying to support a terrorist group in Pakistan. He's now in the CMU in Marion.
This is our country, yet we are being oppressed simply because of our faith. My life has been interrupted and now filled with depression and tears.
NPR asked to see the inside of these prisons. Our request was denied. One of the few people who has seen the inside is Ken Falk.
There is a common area where food is served, where there are tables that actually, I believe, have painted checkerboards on them. There are some individual larger rooms where there is exercise equipment.
Falk is a lawyer at the American Civil Liberties Union, and he only got to visit because he's suing the prison system in an ongoing case. He says inmates are allowed to do all kinds of things together, except pray. He says that's breaking the law.
They're allowed to engage in all sorts of activity, and they're not allowed to engage in group prayer. In fact, prisoners have been punished when two prisoners together have gone back to their cells to pray.
The Bureau of Prisons says there's a very good reason for that. They want to minimize radicalization of inmates in U.S. prisons. Tomorrow on Morning Edition, we'll take a look at whether these secret units really work. Carrie Johnson, NPR News, Washington.
That story was co-reported by NPR's Margot Williams. You can explore the names and cases of the prisoners NPR identified at npr.org. It's time for your comments, and we start with this correction. Last month, we brought you a story about Friends of the Children. The program in Portland, Oregon, pays mentors to work with troubled kids. The story was a follow-up to one 10 years ago when reporter Colin Fogarty profiled someone named Anthony. The boy was 8 years old at the time, and so the report did not use his last name. Our recent story profiled Anthony 10 years later. Well, this week, Friends of the Children came to Colin Fogarty to say they made a major mistake. The child in the original piece was not the same person in our recent story. The program lost contact with the Anthony from the original piece when he moved away. The young man from our recent story had the same mentor and was also named Anthony. We're looking into how Friends of the Children made the error and what happened to the boy profiled in the original story. On to some email reacting to Daniel DeSalvo. He teaches political science at the City College of New York, and we talked to him about the debate over public employee unions. He argued that when those unions contribute to the Democratic Party, they are funneling tax money to the Democrats.
Insofar as taxpayers are ultimately the ones who pay public employee salaries and pay those union dues, public employees are in effect subsidizing the Democratic Party.
Well, Kevin Gallagher of Memphis writes this: as flawed and troubling as Professor DeSalvo's arguments were, I was bothered more by the fact that they went unchallenged. Are not government employees also citizens and thus entitled to the same rights as others? Can they not spend the money they earn through their labor as they see fit? And Keith Elwood of Victoria, British Columbia says, I suppose if a teacher buys a beer or a foreign car or trans fatty tasty cakes or porn, then taxpayer dollars are providing the funding of these vices. Elwood continues, come on, NPR, if you don't call your guests on such foolishness, who will? You can write to us at npr.org. Please click on Contact Us. You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News.
This is Diana Nyad for KCRW, and this is the score. This year's NFL draft holds the promise of teams licking their chops at mining a wealth of quarterback prospects. No matter how deep that list runs, one 6'6", 250-pound monster-armed talent stands head and shoulders above the rest. Auburn's quarterback Cam Newton was this year's standout college player. There was no debate. Scouts, coaches, pro players, current and past, resoundingly weighed in with kudos of not having seen a monumental talent like Newton in quite some time. Yet, even as Newton dazzled throughout the college season, questions regarding his character constantly shadowed him. He had stolen a laptop computer while at Florida, tossing it out his dorm window when police knocked on his door. He actually faced expulsion from Florida when found guilty of 3 separate instances of cheating in his academic courses. And the big cloud hovering over Newton has been the case of his father, illegally demanding as much as $200,000 under the table to have his bionic son play elsewhere upon leaving Florida. Well, the NCAA investigation allowed Newton to play this year, finding that he knew nothing of his father's illicit calls. But the case is not, in fact, closed. There's a distinct possibility that a few years down the road, Cam Newton will be forced to follow in Reggie Bush's footsteps and have to return the coveted Heisman Trophy he tucked under his bicep this year. Well, if character issues dogged Newton throughout his college career, that syndrome will escalate in the NFL. The scouting combine last week was for the quarterback class, yes, all about 40-yard dash times, vertical jumps, broad jumps, accuracy of passes, quickness of dropbacks into the pocket. Surprisingly, Newton was not stellar throughout the physical drills. But with the quarterback position comes not only all the physical skills, the quick decision-making abilities, but that character issue that Newton knows all too well is paramount in leading an NFL squad as well. The media has made much of Newton's off-putting swagger last week when he said, "I see myself not only as a football player, but an entertainer and icon." An outcry of weak personal essence has resounded since that remark. Name another quarterback in the league, even the top entertainers such as Saturday Night Live host Peyton Manning, who would talk about himself in such terms. Not a one. Even go back to Joe Namath. Sure, he was brazen in predicting the Jets' upset in the Super Bowl, but as gigantic an icon as he became, he never called himself one. Well, to my mind, Newton sounds more immature than weak of character with this silly remark. He's already apologized for it, humble in calling it a first-rate faux pas. At the news conference microphone post-combine on Sunday, he quickly addressed the mistake of stealing that laptop, and he dropped back on his icon mention to say he fully realizes playing the game well must and is his primary focus. Me? If I were an NFL scout, I wouldn't worry about Cam Newton's character. My concern would be the inaccuracy of those passes he missed throughout the combine. This is Diana Nyad for KCRW, and that's the score.
This is 89.9 KCRW. It's 6:48. We'll give away some tickets next.
KCRW sponsors include City National Bank, providing small business loans and lines of credit. More information at cnb.com/loans.
Support comes from the Geffen Playhouse, now on stage in Mother Words. This poignant and hysterically funny collection of stories about the joys and absurdities of motherhood is written by an award-winning array of contemporary theater's most talented playwrights. LA Weekly simply says go, and Los Angeles moms hail the show as witty, joyful, and unflinchingly honest. Tickets and cast information at geffenplayhouse.com.
It's 6:49. That is ticket giveaway time. On Monday, March 7th, Red Cat will host an evening with John Hollenbeck's Large Ensemble. Hollenbeck's Ensemble is acclaimed for its rich, panoramic orchestral textures that retain the power of its members' individual voices. We have 5 pair of tickets for our members to see John Hollenbeck's Large Ensemble at Red Cat on Monday, March 7th, 8 p.m. Now, if you haven't won a giveaway from us in the past 90 days, give us a call at 877-600-KCRW. Please have your member number ready. The number again, 877-600-5279. These tickets available to our current members only on a first-come, first-served basis. They are also non-transferable. Once again, 5 pair of tickets for our members to see John Hollenbeck's Large Ensemble. That's at the Red Cat on Monday, March 7th at 8 p.m. You must call now in order to win. Partly cloudy conditions in the forecast tonight. Lows mostly in the mid-40s, upper 30s in some valleys. Sunny tomorrow, highs in the upper 60s to lower 70s in the valleys.
From NPR News, this is All Things Considered. I'm Michelle Noren.
And I'm Melissa Block. One of the biggest stars in tennis has suffered yet another setback in her attempt to return to the court. Serena Williams has struggled with a series of recent health problems. She damaged a tendon in her right foot in an accident last summer. On Tuesday, it was revealed that she recently had a blood clot in her lung, and since then she developed severe bruising and swelling that required emergency treatment. NPR's Joel Rose has the story.
Serena Williams hasn't played an official match since a decisive victory at Wimbledon last July.
special day in the special life of a special champion, Serena Williams, for a fourth time Wimbledon champion.
A few days after that win, Williams says she hurt a tendon in her right foot after stepping on broken glass. She had surgery to repair the tendon twice and spent about a month with her foot in a soft cast. Last week, Williams suffered another serious and potentially life-threatening problem known as a pulmonary embolism, essentially a blood clot that travels through the blood system and into the lungs.
Serena's being very fit means that she has the capacity to tolerate a clot far better than somebody who may have pre-existing heart or lung